But our top story tonight, the first budget of the Modi NDA 3.0 government will be presented tomorrow in Parliament. Today, the economic survey was tabled by the Finance Minister, which says India's economic growth has been resilient, with growth pegged at 8.2% this fiscal year. But the opposition says the government is presenting a rosy picture of the economy, hiding some of the realities, especially on food inflation and jobs. What really is the state of the Indian economy? That's our top focus.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tabled the economic survey on Monday. The survey, which pegged growth at 8.2% in fiscal year 2024, says the economy is on strong wicket and stable footing. The GDP in financial year 2024 was 20% higher than in financial year 2020, when the pandemic hit, a feat accomplished by only a few countries. The survey pegs financial year 2025 growth estimate at 6.5 to 7%, down from 7.2%. It says India will become the third largest economy by 2030, but lists the challenge in building manufacturing base. The survey says it may not be prudent to think India can take up slack from China, vacating certain spaces in manufacturing. The focus should be on bottom-up structural reforms. The survey, while admitting food prices remain high, warns of global challenges ahead.
There is global protectionism and a sense of nationalism just in time giving way to the idea of just in case. Security dominates efficiency. Supply security dominates supply efficiencies. And you can see that in the last 3-4 years, protective actions have actually moved up very, very sharply. Trade protective actions.
The economic survey dwells on the jobs challenge in considerable detail. It says 78.51 lakh jobs need to be generated every year in non-farm sector. 65% of India's population is under 35. Only 51.25% of the country's youth is deemed employable. The survey specifically points out that new technologies like artificial intelligence will alter the jobs scenario massively.
The impact of AI is still not very well understood across the world. While the GCC kind of jobs may not be very easily affected in the near term, some of the business process outsourcing jobs may be affected, which AI can very easily done. Medical transcript reading, image creation, animation, etc. can be easily taken over. So India may have a slight short-term negative impact followed by a medium-term positive impact. Therefore, it is necessary for the Indian corporate sector, both information technology and non-IT sector, to find the right balance between deployment of technology and deployment of labor.
The economic survey prescribes bottom-up structural reforms. These include reducing compliance requirements for small enterprises, reforms in the farm sector, and changes in labour laws. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise the big questions on that economic survey. Is India now better off than other large economies? Is the economy as rosy as the economic survey suggests? Do food inflation, job creation remain the major challenges? What are the risk factors going ahead for the Indian economy? Joining me now is Pranjul Bhandari, Chief Economist, India and Indonesia at HSBC. Madan Sabnavis is Chief Economist, Bank of Baroda. Rajiv Kumar, noted senior economist, former Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog. And Professor Santosh Mehrotra, author Reviving Jobs and Agenda for Growth, visiting professor at the University of Bath. I appreciate all of you joining us. Pranjul, to you first. What's your big takeaway from the economic survey? I'll ask that to all four of you, but why don't you start first?
Yeah, thank you, Rajdeep. Great to be here. So look, it's second term, it's second innings for our finance minister. And as you know, in Test cricket, second innings are a great opportunity to improve your batting average and take your team towards victory. So this is a very important part and time in the economy. And I think it's very important to get the context right. Where are we? What's gone right? What's gone wrong? How do we course correct if we have to? And I think taking a step back, a couple of things are going very well. Number one, the government has been doing a lot of infrastructure investment, which has been good for growth. Number two, there is a lot of real estate activity. A lot of jobs in the construction sectors have been created. But on the other hand, consumption is quite weak, quite tepid. It's in the low single digits. And that's really what needs to be addressed at this point of time if you really want GDP growth to continue to be in the 6.5% to 7% range. So I think this is the big challenge we have in front of us. Now that we have the budget tomorrow, I think a couple of things they've been doing right, and my sense is they should continue to do that. One of them is bringing down the fiscal deficit year after year, a very important way to keep macro stability intact, which is important to make growth a multi-year phenomenon rather than just a single-year phenomenon. They've also been doing a lot of capital expenditure on roads, rails. They should continue to do that. But they haven't probably been doing much on consumption. And I think that's where they really need to beef up, to do more of a rural stimulus, welfare stimulus, perhaps more in the housing sector at this point of time, but in a responsible way. And it's possible this time because the government is actually more revenue rich than it has been in a very long time. It's got the RBI dividend. It's got great tax collections. If it brings all of that together, it can give you both fiscal consolidation and a little bit of the consumption push that was missing from the budget that we had back in February.
Interesting, Pranjal. There, Professor Rajiv Kumar, Dr. Rajiv Kumar, your big takeaway from the economic survey, is it as rosy as the government suggests? Are there any risk factors that you see? Pranjal has listed some of them.
Thanks, Rajdeep. Great to be here. I agree with the economic survey that India is on the cusp of a real sort of sustained growth trajectory of 7%, 6.5%, 7% going forward. But at the same time, we have to remember, and I think the economic survey could have done better by pointing out that this growth has to be accompanied with a green transition. We have to reduce our carbon footprint at the same time. And that makes it quite tough. And that really requires for a kind of a sui generis policy package because there are no models to follow in this regard. Now, on the other one, so the other thing that I wanted to emphasize is that the consumption has been weak, as Pranjal has said, but the way out is not to give handouts or some temporary stimulus, etc. But we have to tackle the real problem, which is employment. And the ILO IHD report that was released in 2024 does point out that our graduates unemployment is quite high. Even the PLFH reports say that while the unemployment has come down, 56% of those employed are self-employed, 18.2% of those are employed in family labor without being paid, etc. If we have to improve the employment in the unorganized sector and the SME sector, and for the graduates, and for because unless we do that, we can't hope to raise consumption in a sustained manner. Consumption goes up on the basis of a permanent income hypothesis. That's when people start spending, and I think that's the one to tackle.
Okay.
And therefore, what we need really is a set of data on employment to which everybody agrees, on the basis of which policy can be formulated. At the moment, we don't have that. So I think that's the downside risk. And just one other, Rajdeep, which is that the economic survey doesn't tell us the rate of growth of our exports, especially of our merchandise exports, which are generally employment intensive. And I hope the budget tomorrow will tell us some measures on how to focus on expanding India's share in world trade, because that is what will generate the required employment. And that's the key to raise consumption, which has been the driver of economic growth in India for decades, and we have to bring it back.
Okay. Interesting again. Professor Sabnavis, your big takeaway from the economic survey, glass half full or half empty?
No, actually, Rajdeep, if you've seen, most of the data which has been presented in the economic survey is something which is already known. So I don't think there is anything new which the economic survey presents, because I think our statistical system is fairly regular in terms of this high frequency data which you get. But I think a significant point which has been made in the economic survey is on private investment. It's said very clearly that to go forward, there needs to be a tripartite agreement with states as well as private sector. That's along with the center to move forward. And quite significantly, it's been pointed out that even though there was a corporate tax cut which came in 2019, we really haven't seen private sector investment pick up. So I think the responsibility is really on the corporate sector to build on investment, something which has not been highlighted earlier. That they're the ones who always keep asking for favors, saying that we need something.
If I may intervene, that's been said for the last ever since the government gave a corporate tax cut, and we're now 5 years down the line. We've been expecting private investment to pick up. There are some green shoots, but clearly many believe it's not across sectors.
No, absolutely. It's not broad-based, because you see the private sector invests only when there's a return on capital. That's the difference between the government investing in capex, where it doesn't have to look out for a return. So I think that's the fundamental issue. The private sector is not investing because you don't have enough demand. You have surplus capacity. So if you're looking at industries like, say, related to infrastructure, there is investment taking place. So it's not to say investment is not taking place. But the private sector will definitely hold back. It's not going to invest just to make us happy and make sure that the investment rate goes up. So I think this is what the economic survey has concentrated on, saying we need to have the private sector investment picking up. And the second issue is, of course, on food inflation, for which I think there is no short-term solution. It's easy to say that we need to increase production of pulses, oilseeds, but to my mind, I think what is required is deep-rooted reforms in the agricultural sector, something which has been missing for quite some time now.
Professor Mehrotra, you've been a critic of this government. You've looked at the economic survey. Your big takeaway?
I think everything that needed to be said, Rajdeep, has already been said by my three distinguished friends. But let me pick on a few things that they have talked about and which require real movement forward. So it was just mentioned about employment data on which everyone needs to agree. Well, how will everyone agree if the PLFS says one thing, and PLFS data, unfortunately, Rajdeep, is not compliant with international definitions and international norms, and yet the government sells that narrative. And the RBI funded study, let me say, it was not an RBI study, unfortunately makes the same mistake. So unless we fix that, we will never have employment data that everyone will agree. Point one. Point two, I find the great claim that in FY 2024 that our GDP is 24% higher than it was in 2021 is neither here nor there, for the simple reason that you and I know that the economy contracted by nearly 6% in that year. Now, the problem is that the government's whole narrative is essentially based upon building on what they're calling the new economy. But everyone knows, as does Pranjul, that the new economy is barely 15% of our total economy. The new economy can only pull along so much. And I remember reading a piece by Pranjul which says that, all we are getting is 6.5% growth, which is precisely what IMF, World Bank and the OECD have predicted for the rest of the 30s, that we will have, they project 6.5% growth. And that's not even going to fetch us the 70 million jobs she said we need. Actually, we need 10 to 12 million jobs, not 7 million jobs per annum, because many more young people are joining the labor force. So unless the strategy is laid out for an inclusive policy, and everyone's hinted at that, we are short of demand, which is why in the last 10 years, investment to GDP has not exceeded 31%, when in fact between 2004 and 14, it consistently was between 31 and 38%. That's why you had 7.8% growth. And for the last 10, you've had 5.8. So we are all sort of agreed what the nature of the problem is. There's no.
Can I stop you to look for the solution then? Because I want to go
coming.
one round.
I'm coming.
Let's start with Pranjul and come solution one by one. Let's give each Pranjul, give us a solution. I think the economic survey identifies the problems as it is meant to do, but the prescription is based, many believe, more on hope than reality, because as I said, kickstarting private investment has been spoken of for the last few years. Agriculture distress has been spoken out for the last couple of years. Where are the solutions? And what is the solution?
Yeah. Okay, so no easy answers, but let me try with three of them. Number one, what I started with. I think we do need a consumption stimulus at this point of time, given that rural India and the informal sector have gone through back-to-back many shocks. Pandemic, climate change, even climate change changing its pattern, heat waves, not just low rains, droughts, dry spells in the midst of monsoon seasons. All of this has really played havoc with rural India. So I think we do need, a round of welfare spending to basically get people up to a particular minimum standard. Only after that, my sense is that consumption will start picking up and domestic investment will respond to that by putting up more factories, more machinery, and we'll see more investment and therefore more jobs. So consumption stimulus is my first point. My second point is reforms. We all know we need reforms, ease of doing business, land, labor, power, connectivity. All of these reforms, I think, is the second thing that we need to keep working on.
No, because Pranjal, just to stop you, the economic survey talks of bottom-up structural reforms. What does it mean? What do bottom-up structural reforms mean for the lay person?
Well, look, I suppose, trying to really identify what's coming in the way of more investment of factories, sprouting up in a more rapid speed and really trying to address that. So, problem with land acquisition, with labor laws, with ease of doing business, too much of regulatory cholesterol, and really, trying to basically get an answer to all of that. But I think a third point that I wanted to make is this big opportunity that we are in the midst of, which is this whole rejigging of supply chains, manufacturing diversification across the world. Is this once in a lifetime opportunity we have to attract FDI into our economy? And here, I think the news is not that great. FDI inflows in the economy have actually fallen 60% over the last year. There are many reasons. The economic survey has also got into it. But in terms of solution, my sense is rather than just going after high-tech FDI, which we have successfully done, for example, electronics, we should now start going after mid-tech FDI in areas like textiles, food product, footwear. These are areas where you actually get jobs, and there's so much of rejigging. Factories, actually MNCs, want to come to India. We should really lay out the red carpet for them, get this investment home, get jobs on the back of that. I think that's sort of our big solution. Two things to do for this. Number one, policy certainty. You can't keep increasing import tariff and getting so much of policy uncertainty. No investor will come. So keep import tariffs low and go and announce it out loud that we don't want to increase our import tariffs anymore. Sign a lot of deep FTAs, particularly with big countries, with big regional blocks. I think these are very important. And number two, if you're going to give all of that manufacturing subsidies, which we are through the PLI scheme, make the fine print a little easier to abide by. Right now, many of the fine print make a go decision into a no-go decision. I think if we can do all of this, get investment to kickstart, we can really create the jobs that we need.
I hope the finance minister is listening to you. She's obviously got her budget already in place. But Rajiv Kumar, if you had one suggestion, what would it be? A solution. Give us what you believe is a concrete solution, where to start.
You have to start, at the survey says, at the bottom, at the ground level, at the bottom level. And there, by that, I mean that you got to actually make doing business in India easy and simple at the ground level. Take away the regulatory and compliance burden. The Prime Minister announced that there were 60,000 of them, to be removed. I don't think too many of them have been removed. The ordinary businessman, the entrepreneur, the private sector still finds doing business not as easy as it should be. It doesn't find the government coming in support of it. That's the first thing that you need to do. You have to decriminalize a lot of these provisions that you that our entrepreneurs face from day to day, where they can be sent to jail at a drop of a hat almost. Now you've got to remove that. What you've got to do is to ensure that the labor laws that have been there and have been waiting to be codified for the last 6 years are finally codified, so there is sufficient flexibility so that the entrepreneurs don't find it easy to don't find the incentive to replace labor with capital, especially in a situation where new technology makes it very tempting to do so. So those are the bottom of the pyramid, the sort of ground level reforms that we should do. But one more, Rajdeep, before you go, I have been propagating, and I've just read in the survey that the subsidies to the agricultural sector have doubled over the last 2 years. And they're all for chemical fertilizer and pesticide. They are converting our land into a desert. Our organic carbon content has been reduced to 0.8% when 1.5% is required to keep the land arable. I've been arguing and advocating a paradigm shift to what I call zero chemical agriculture, and at least the farmers who are practicing non-chemical agriculture be given the same subsidy that per acre, which the farmers using chemicals are doing. That's the sort of beginning that you want to make to make our agriculture productive and globally competitive, reduce costs, and make farmers' income go up, because they actually haven't gone up the way we had promised them that they would. So that's the beginning. So those are the two sets: ease of doing business, which will promote exports, and starting a whole paradigm shift in agriculture, getting agriculture investment, making agro-processing, etc. Go down, and take that forward. But only that will help the bottom of the pyramid, which will raise consumption and then raise demand.
Madan Sabnavis, your solution, where would you start?
I'd say there are 3 points which I have out here. Number one is we need to commercialize agriculture. So I think the economic survey says that over 40% of our labor force is in agriculture, which means we have to make sure that they become agriculture as a remunerative business. So for that, I think we need to revisit the farm laws, which were excellent laws. There's, of course, a politics of it. I think that needs to be resolved, but I think in the next 5 years, we should be working towards addressing this issue. Number two, as we're talking of a bottoms-up kind of an approach, we need to look at the MSMEs. So I think a PLI scheme for MSMEs exclusively is something which will work, because again, the SMEs are a segment which contribute to industrial output, GDP growth, employment, and exports. So I think that will address the issue. And the third issue which has to be addressed, to my mind, is in terms of trade policy for agriculture. When I say trade policy for agriculture, it's essentially a case of saying, how do I do best when it comes to my export bans, which I keep having? For example, when we suddenly say there's an export ban on wheat, there's an export ban on rice, the farmers get contradictory signals. Am I to grow more? Am I to grow less? And this will also help to address the issue of inflation. Today, we all know that inflation is going up primarily because of food inflation. If I have a policy in place, I have an market intelligence in place, I know that the production is going to falter, go in for imports immediately. So in this context, I say that futures trading in agricultural commodities, which is banned for most of the commodities, needs to be revoked. We have sent very good signals about a likely crop. That is when the government can actually intervene and reckon the imports so that you're able to get away from this crisis-like situation, which we have in pulses, edible oils, maybe at times even for things like rice and wheat at certain points of time. So these are the 3 steps.
Okay, I'm giving a final word to Professor Mehrotra, because you've heard lots of solutions, and I must confess, many of them politically difficult, as we saw with farm laws. Others have been known for a while, but haven't been acted upon. Some out-of-the-box solutions suggested as well. Give me your final solutions to really, in a sense, create this whole concept of inclusive growth.
Thank you. Of course, 2 sets of solutions. First, we need an industrial policy. The first thing that we need in the industrial policy is to make sure that our real effective exchange rate does not appreciate. Unfortunately, under this government, it has been appreciating. It has adversely affected exports. I think that Rajiv was rightly hinting at. And in addition, it has just encouraged more and more imports. Second, we need not a PLI for X, Y, and Z. That's simply encouraging more subsidies. What we need is a horizontal industrial policy. I could elaborate that it cannot be a sectoral industrial policy because you're giving all these decisions back to the bureaucrats, license permit Raj back again. Third, Madan was absolutely spot on. I think the fact of the matter is that the MSMEs have suffered very hard since the three policy shocks of this government, DeMon, badly designed GST, and a national lockdown. So the fact of the matter is the ASU's data just released has demonstrated beyond a shadow of doubt how badly they were impacted. And it's agriculture is not, we then secondly—
I have 30 seconds.
You will get, I'll finish in 25. We also need agricultural policy. That does not mean reforms. What it means is that you put agriculture first in the investment strategy, in public investment. Don't build in expressways to nowhere. If you invest in agriculture, public investment, you're going to get productivity rises, which you're not getting with the subsidies, etc., that Rajiv was rightly pointing to.
Okay, let's leave it there. Clearly, all of you have given plenty of food for thought, and it also will build into, of course, the budget discussions that take place tomorrow. The economic survey has only given a sense of the challenges that really still lie ahead of this government. I appreciate all my guests joining us here on their analysis on the survey this evening. Thank you so much. Let's turn from economy to politics, where in a strong message to the Yogi Adityanath government in Uttar Pradesh and the Uttarakhand government, the Supreme Court today stayed the enforcement of the order passed by the Yogi Adityanath government requiring eatery owners on the route of the Kawad Yatra to disclose the names of owners. The top court said that the owners would only display the kind of food served in their eateries, not the name of the owners as was being ordered by the UP government. The opposition has hailed the Supreme Court's verdict and slammed Yogi Adityanath for what they are calling was an unconstitutional order. Let's turn then to Asaduddin Owaisi, who joins me at this moment because he's been one of the voices who's been protesting against that order. AIMIM MP, appreciate your joining us, Mr. Owaisi. The Supreme Court today intervening in the Kawad Yatra case. Your response: do you believe the courts have in a sense restored faith in constitutional values that put individuals at the center of it? It is, of course, only an interim order.
Yeah, it's an interim order, and we welcome it. And I have always said that this so-called police directive or the order of Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is unconstitutional. It promotes untouchability. It violates Article 17. It takes away livelihood of poor Muslims, which is a violation of Article 19. So yes, and this is a discriminatory order. It's clear-cut apartheid. It reminds us of what Hitler did to the Jews in Germany, and which led to London boycott. So yes, the Supreme Court has heard the matter, and they'll decide on Friday.
You know, but when you use words like apartheid, Hitler, the government will turn around and say, Asaduddin Owaisi, this is fear-mongering. The government claims we are following the Shops and Establishments Act, we are following Food Security Acts, where the regulations were brought in when the UPA was in power, making it imperative for shop owners to disclose names and details on a board. Are you saying the government is being disingenuous there? Or are you the one who's seeing a devil where none exists?
Well, Mr. Narendra Modi rose to this position by saying that he used to sell tea on a railway station. Did the Prime Minister was selling tea only to the Hindus, not to the Muslims? And they talk about should a person selling mango on Bandi, should he display his name? A person selling pakoda, samosa, should he show his name? And if the law is there, let us go to McDonald's and see where in one corner the name of the proprietor is written. Here in Uttar Pradesh, Rajdeep, Muslims were forced to change the name of their dhabas. And they were told to write in big letters the name of the Muslim owner. Hindu owners were forced to kick out Muslim employees.
You see, the government says that we've never called for an economic boycott of Muslims, and therefore when the Owaisi's of the world use words like apartheid, you seem to be suggesting just the opposite, that the government was advocating an economic boycott where all the government claims it was doing was trying to streamline a particular process on the Kawad Yatra.
It was, and today the petitioners, I'm grateful to them, all three of them, they had shown to the Supreme Court some TV channels news that the Muslim employees were kicked out. There was an economic boycott of Muslims. It was shown to the Supreme Court. How can BJP say this? They're completely lying.
But, Asaduddin Owaisi, all of this, of course, suggests, according to some, that what we are seeing post-election is once again an attempt being made to ratchet up politics of communal stereotyping. One would have thought the election verdict would provide a healing touch, that politicians across the spectrum would realize that voters want you to focus on issues of rozgar, want you to focus on mehengai and not talk about dharma and religion all the time.
Well, the BJP has not learned the lesson, and I hope that they continue to not to learn the lesson, and they lose more political ground, and they lose the forthcoming elections which are going to happen. There has been an economic boycott of Muslims in Muzaffarnagar. No one can deny that.
No one can deny it, but the fact, Mr. Owaisi, is on the ground in places like Kairana, also in Western UP, a young Muslim woman, Ikra Mohammed, won the election and obviously got votes from both Hindus and Muslims. So in a sense, on the ground, people want to reach out to each other. Mr. Owaisi, would you agree, therefore, whether it's a Hindu leader, whether it's a Muslim leader, politics is moving beyond religion and politicians are a step behind society at the moment?
Well, Rajdeep, it suits you. I think so. It gives you some sadistic pleasure for always blaming me. Come on. I mean, there are only 4% Muslims who get elected in parliament. Who is responsible? Mr. Sardesai, who happened to be an upper caste? Or some backward class political leaders? In your state of Maharashtra, there's not a single Muslim MP. Do you blame me? There was one Imtiaz Jalil and everyone ganged up to defeat him. So it is not me. It is the BJP and other political parties who only pay lip service to secularism.
Mr. Owaisi,
why do you blame me? I am bringing out the truth and facts in front of you.
Mr. Owaisi, I want to make this very clear. I am certainly not putting you on the dock here. In the dock at the moment, as the Supreme Court also suggested, is the UP and Uttarakhand government and the way they've handled the issue. All I'm saying is there space, Mr. Owaisi, in this climate for a healing touch where people recognize that the real issues now will have to go beyond religious identity politics?
Well, I have said this in the parliament that BJP's victory is a majoritarian victory. The opposition parties call it a moral victory for themselves. What kind of a moral victory when you have only 4% Muslims in the Indian parliament? Where is the question of healing? The wound is very huge. My question to Mr. Yogi Adityanath is that, can he tell the Lulu Mall owner to please write his original name over there?
We'll ask. That's a good point. Mr. Yogi Adityanath, will you put the name of the Lulu Mall owner right on the top? Asaduddin Owaisi, for now, let's leave it there. I appreciate you joining me. Let me turn from there to our face-off tonight, because the Narendra Modi-led government has stirred a controversy by lifting a 58-year-old long ban on government employees associating themselves with the RSS and its activities. On the one hand, the RSS and BJP have welcomed the move. On the other hand, the grand old party has mocked the order with a bureaucrat, saying it's bureaucrats in knicker taunt. Take a look.
The Narendra Modi government has lifted a 58-year-old ban on government employees associating themselves with the RSS and its activities. The RSS has welcomed this decision, claiming the move will strengthen India's democratic framework.
वर्तमान के शासन ने आज उस पाबंदी को जो हटाया है, ये निर्णय समुचित है और भारत की लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था को ये निर्णय पुष्ट करेगा.
The ban was imposed in the year 1966 when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The order had put a ban on two outfits, the RSS and the Jamaat-e-Islami. The BJP says the ban was imposed weeks after an RSS protest against cow slaughter near the parliament premises. The demonstration snowballed, leading to violence, forcing the police to resort to lathi charge and firing. 7 people were killed in the clashes. The BJP claims the ban was unconstitutional.
वहाँ पे देश की भक्ति, भारत माता के प्रति समर्पण, ये सब सिखाया जाता है. अगर ये कोई सीखने का विरोध कर रहा है, तो उनको मैं दुर्भाग्य मानता हूँ.
The centre's decision has sparked controversy, with the Congress taking pot shots at the Saffron camp by linking RSS knickers to bureaucracy.
This is a very dangerous trend. The neutrality of the bureaucracy will become questionable. The bureaucrats and the government servants cannot be members of political organizations, and this will in fact shake the foundation of our neutral bureaucracy.
BJP RSS relation is into a different level now, and Mr. Modi wants to please the RSS bosses by these kind of orders.
The lifting of the ban has reignited old political battles, reflecting deep divisions on this issue. While RSS claims to be a socio-cultural organization, its affiliates are active in politics, raising questions over the propriety of government employees getting involved in Sangh activities. Bureau Report, India Today.
So can our government employees join RSS activities? Will the bureaucracy get even more politicized? What explains the sudden lifting of the ban? Nalin Kohli is the BJP's national spokesperson and senior leader. Charan Singh Sapra is the Congress spokesperson. They join me on my face-off tonight. Appreciate you joining us. Mr. Kohli, isn't this prima facie a violation of the Central Service Conduct Rules 1964 Section 5.1, which says that no government servant shall be part or associated with any political party or organization which takes part in politics or with any political movement or activity?
So, would you like to show me if this is regarding the BJP, Congress, JDU, NCP, DMK? It's not. Those are political parties. The RSS is not a political entity. And if you are saying it's a political entity, then you have to show me. And as a lawyer, I'll ask you to please see that carefully.
The Prime Minister of the country, sir, is an RSS pracharak. There are chief ministers who are RSS pracharaks. The RSS has been actively involved and doesn't disassociate itself from campaigning for the BJP. And you're telling me on the show that the RSS is only a cultural organization? Come on, Mr. Kohli.
So 1 minute. So let me now pause for a minute. I would like you to consider what you're saying. Again, I'm going to draw a legal argument since you quoted law. Let me just put it like this. An IAS officer, Indian Administrative Officer, IPS, IRS, can even go and work in an NGO on a deputation as a break from his service. Does that make him an employee then? No. The RSS, because I'm not a member of the RSS in that sense, I'm a BJP person, the RSS may loan people to the BJP, which is what they say. But the RSS, and show me one document of its registration, its mission, its anything that says it's a political organization. Otherwise, why would there be a BJP? The BJP is a political organization.
I am asking you,
if the RSS was a political organization,
Mr. Kohli, with due regard, you are being disingenuous. I said the RSS is actively involved in campaigning for the BJP. How long is the RSS going to live in this mood of deniability? It's gone on for too long. Now the RSS is back center in politics.
No. Sure. With due respect, Rajdeep, people go and attend. Say we had the Friends of BJP movement in 2014. And in that, professionals came, professionals spoke about the change in the country that is to take place. People wanted a change away from the Congress. They wanted to see Narendra Modi ji as the Prime Minister. These were not professionals who either were a member of the BJP or the RSS or anywhere else.
Sure, but
they were on platforms.
Sure, but there's a difference between a professional lawyer.
We don't want this corrupt government of 2014. So by your logic, they can't do that.
So isn't there a difference between a professional lawyer and an IAS officer?
Oh, I mean, where is that now? Where have we gone, Rajdeep?
No, I think you gave the example of friends of BJP that they use the platform. No, my point is an IAS officer going on a platform of the RSS is effectively endorsing the RSS ideology, which is the ideology of the ruling political party of this country. Is that what an IAS officer should be doing?
But has somebody gone? Has somebody gone? 1 minute, hold on, and endorsed it? Okay, let me ask you in a different way. If you or me are a member of a club, does that make us, in a sense, ineligible for something? I don't think so. Okay. You are trying to force the RSS into a political space. That's the crux of my argument. The RSS is not a political entity.
Okay.
So therefore, your argument is based on an incorrect premise.
Okay.
That the RSS is a political entity. Please confirm to me first on what basis are you arriving at that?
Charan Singh Sapra, why don't you respond? According to Nalin Kohli, the RSS is not a political entity.
It is not according to me, according to every document of the RSS.
See, Rajdeep, the whole world... Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Can I? See, the whole world knows that RSS is a ideological head, or it's the fountainhead of BJP, before that Janata Party, before that Janasangh. And RSS drafts a narrative which is collectively or jointly executed by both RSS cadre as well as Bharatiya Janata Party. This is known to the whole world, and we have been seeing this every day. In fact, I would like to say that BJP, RSS is a proxy BJP, or two sides of the same coin. They have been working collectively, and the only reason why the 1966 this order was passed, that the bureaucracy should be impartial, they should be neutral, there should be no favoritism, and there should be the ideological preference should not take priority. And the order which is now revoked by Narendra Modi is a clearly politically motivated order. Why he did not revoke this order 10 years ago when he got power in 2014? Why Atal Bihari Vajpayee did not revoke this? And also this is mainly because after the loss of face, or after the moral defeat of Narendra Modi in Lok Sabha elections, he is probably trying to pacify the RSS. He was having a very uneasy relation with RSS. And in fact, I would like to say that this is like Modi's appeasement for RSS. Or in Hindi we can say कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने घुटने टेक दी आरएसएस के सामने यार नतमस्तक हो गए. This is
घुटने टेकने, whether घुटने टेकने may be excessive, but either way respond Nalin Kohli. For 10 years Mr. Modi doesn't revoke the 1966 order. Atal Bihari Vajpayee doesn't in the 7 years that he was Prime Minister. Suddenly the BJP, at a time when the RSS has been questioning, maybe some believe implicitly Mr. Modi and his politics, suddenly this comes out. Is it a weapon of distraction or is it a weapon of appeasement? Mr. Modi, according to Charan Singh Sapra, is trying to appease the RSS.
Mr. Charan Singh Sapra's views don't worry me, because he's the Congress spokesperson. He's going to speak the line of his party. It has no value to the larger debate, and I say it without any disrespect to him, because A, the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, the word is Rashtriya Swayam Sevak, one who's working to make the country better. And I think that's a great thing.
Mr. RSS is perfectly entitled. Sir, Mr. Kohli, RSS is perfectly entitled to get involved in nation building. Why should IAS officers be part of it?
With due respect, Mr. Sardesai, it's not done. Sorry, Mr. Sardesai, I can't online, when I'm hearing it on this, form a viewpoint, start speaking on it, with you coming in with a counter. Ask me a counter at the end of my answer. I'm not running away from answering your questions. I'm here. But it cannot be in a manner that you will interrupt my answer for me not to be able to complete it and then pick up another trail. It's not done. So my first point was, and let me try to get back to my thought trail. The first is that the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, that's the name, serving your country. It's an organization that does so. So I think it's great. If you look at it from another perspective, we need more organizations that serve the country, irrespective whether it's BJP, Congress, any other political party. Point two, the RSS has been accused, and perhaps with some element of truth on it, that they actually supported Rajiv Gandhi ji completely in 1984, which led to the rout of the BJP, which basically says the RSS is not a political entity tied to anybody. They have been there in calamities, standing there shoulder to shoulder with people in assisting them when calamities come, when disasters come. Then the RSS, whether it's in a Congress government, BJP government, JDU government or any other government, nobody finds it wrong. So this is political posturing. You know, this is the two sides of a same coin. And as a political person, Mr. Sapra is entitled to come with that. I have no problem with that, but I don't agree with the hypothesis.
Okay, let Charan Singh Sapra therefore respond in conclusion. RSS is there when there are emergency, when there are floods, there is that aspect too. Now that is an aspect which should be applauded, even as you claim that it is essentially a political offshoot. There are examples where the RSS has done remarkable work on the ground when it comes to flood relief or working among people in crisis situations.
But Rajdeep, the fact is also that this same RSS was banned thrice since independence. It was banned in 1948 when murder of Mahatma Gandhi took place. It was implicated by Sardar Patel himself. Later on the ban was removed, but it was initially Sardar Patel only banned this organization. Then in 1975, Indira Gandhi banned this association during the emergency. Thereafter, Narasimha Rao in 1992, he banned RSS. So somewhere everybody has seen that RSS has been trying to do some defaults here and there. They have been trying to do politics, which is the open fact.
Okay, so
and BJP or anybody else cannot deny from this that RSS is directly associated to BJP.
Okay, let Nalin Kohli.
Just one sentence.
Nalin Kohli, 30 seconds only. You know, the end
Just
of the day.
Just one sentence only, Mr. Sardesai. I'm grateful to Mr. Sapra. No, I'm genuinely from the bottom of my heart grateful to Mr. Sapra for at least saying that when Indira Gandhi invoked emergency in this country, at least there's one leader in the Congress party who's honest, straightforward, truthful. That emergency was there in this country.
So why can't you be as truthful and say yes, RSS is a political
organization? No, but also the fact is that BJP, that time RSS also supported Indira Gandhi during emergency. This is also the fact which is written in the books written by RSS people.
So again we are back at least. Thank you, Mr. Sapra. I am grateful to you. Your leader just buries his head in the sand to as if emergency never happened.
Okay.
It's real. It happened.
This is not about emergency. This is about government officers. It's about government officers and their objectivity, whether they should be seen to be part of any organization that is seen to be linked to a political party. I'll leave it there. Nalin Kohli and Charan Singh Sapra for joining me on my face-off. I appreciate you joining us. Let's leave you tonight with our good news today's story, an inspiring tale of a labourer, Gagandeep Singh, who transformed his life by learning to read books and is now a proud owner of a bookshop outside a dhaba in Punjab. More power to him, more power to each and every one of you to help others and build a better life. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Till a few years ago, Gagandeep Singh from Patti village in Barnala district was illiterate. His world changed when he started working at a small publishing house. He learned how to read and write. The books he read changed his outlook. Today, he runs his own bookstall outside Deepak Dhaba in Danola.
ਇਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਜਾਣਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਸੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੌਖਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਇਹ ਢਾਬਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਬਦੌਲਤ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਾਈਆਂ ਲਵੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਰਿਕਵੈਸਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗੇ ਬਾਈ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾ ਲਓ ਕਾਕਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਨ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਵਧੀਆ ਜਾਨ ਕਿ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ
Seeing Gagandeep's hard work, his brothers also started contributing.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਣਾ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ ਸ਼ੌਕ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਬ੍ਰਦਰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਲਾਇਬ੍ਰੇਰੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ ਸ਼ੌਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੇਚਣ ਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਦਾ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ ਇਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਾ ਪੱਕੀ ਸਟਾਲ ਲਾਈ ਹੋਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਹੋ ਗਏ 7-8 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣੇ ਜੁੜਿਆ 2-3 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸ ਵਧੀਆ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਕੰਮ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਡਰਾਈਵਰੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਜਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਹੁਣ
Gagandeep says technology has changed reading habits but hopes to convert youngsters to book lovers. Bureau Report, India Today.